Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about Tenzu and our adventure in creating an open source startup as a cooperative in France. And as a bit of a spoiler, we also like to call this presentation Don't Do It. So who are we? I'm Julie. I'm a co-founder and developer of the BIRU company.
I'm Paul GUICHON, same.
We created this company 1 year ago, and we are a small team of 4 people. We both worked in a startup environment, being CTO and managing technical teams. And we wanted to provide a tool that will be able to provide guidance for startup business people and to help them in the early phase of their product. For that, we created Tenzu. Tenzu is a project management tool. The goal is just what I said, and of course, it is 100% open source. So, being a young company, we thought, wow, we were full of dream and hope. So, a young, innovative company, we thought that it would be very easy to get some subsidy from French state. We also thought that it will, since we are making a cool product, it would be easy to have some investor giving us money. And of course, since we are doing open source, it will be very easy to get some grant from European funds and things like that. So being at the same time a cooperative, a startup, and doing open source, for us, we thought it was just bingo, and it will give us a lot of opportunities.
Let's talk about our business model and why we choose it. We start here at the scope, a French cooperative. This gives us a few key benefits. First, lower taxes and operating costs, which makes sustainability more accessible. Second, and the most important, and the particularity, we can be both. A change in our business model can only come from the inside. That's reassuring for partners and future users. It creates long-term trust. The third point is the strong implication of employees. Less turnover, more involved people, easy to construct the project. We also chose the IGPL license, a strong copyleft license. That's a clear signal of commitment. It's much harder to walk back on open source again. And again, this references the trust we aim to build. Together, these two elements, the scope structure and the IGPL license, are actually strong commercial arguments, especially for long-term partnerships. For monetization, we use a free pricing model, pay what we want. People contribute voluntarily on our host version. It allows us to avoid VAT and commercial constraints, and we have no super obligation toward users. For those who want more professional support guarantees integration, we partner with specialist service providers. This way, we lower our internal cost and still offer serious options for serious need. Now let's talk about growth and structure. We deliberately choose to not build a sales teams. Why? Because the diversity of potential user base will require us to target many different sectors, which mean a large and complex commercial operation. That will put us under strong financial pressure, and frankly, we are not salespeople. Briding in this kind of commercial force will mean integrating profiles very different from others, which will change the DNA of the teams. We also don't want to scale up. Growing too much means more layer of management, more overhead, more support like HR, finance, and admin. That translates mechanically into higher cost and less focus on the project. We want to stay small on purpose, ideally a team of not more than 12 people. That's the pressure where we can still work closely together, make decisions as a team, and stay focused on what matters, understanding your needs and building agreed tools. And our financial objective reflect that. Just enough recurring income to pay our salaries, not ambition beyond that. And so, yes, we are a startup. We are a new company, currently in an exploratory phase, working on a project that addresses real needs, with a usual share of uncertainty, risk, and delayed profitability. But we are also an open source startup. Our goal isn't to disrupt the market or chase the next technical hype. The product itself is not revolutionary, but it reflects a distinct and truthful approach to project management, especially for small teams and entrepreneurs. At the same time, we're also innovating through your business and governance model. We have a cooperative, a flow-first company using a GPL licenses and free pricing. This combination of project and structure is what makes this is an authentic startup in our view. It's not about explosive growth or technical buzzword. It's about creating a new way of building and distributing digital tools.
So how do you fund the company? I'm not going to teach you anything if I say that funding open source is an open-ended problem. And we have either people that are accepting little to no money for what they're doing, or companies that are diverging from their open source focused value and doing things outside of that, sometimes even to the detriment of the open source product itself, just to get by. But even though the financial part is non-obvious, the users are still expecting professional quality of support and service, as they should. So these paradoxes make it hard to balance for companies doing open source. Now, how do you fund a startup? To fund a startup, you need to find an investor. An investor is someone whose job it is to make placements and to give you money if they think it's going to earn them more back. Their model is to bet on the unicorn probability of the companies they're going to give money to. This involves huge risks from them, but it also implies huge potential returns. And because the financial lifeline of the company is in the hand of the investors, of course they're going to have big decision power no matter the percentage of the shares that they actually possess. So when you get an investor watching for your company, the deal is going to follow the unicorn goal for them and to focus on scaling first. Now, finally, on the other end of the spectrum, how do you fund a cooperative company? Well, it's mostly like any other traditional company, so you need to prove yourself. And only after that, you will be allowed to go into debt and to get some money to grow and get bigger if you want to. For a scope, which is specific to French law, you can get any sort of capital gain from shares that you're giving away. So the only and unique possibility for investor, if they want to put money into a scope company, is going to be something that's called titre participatif or participative share. That is roughly the equivalent of a negotiated loan between the company and the investor. This is kind of an original model, but with recent years and investors getting more and more frightened of risk, we thought that proposing something different with a low investment and low risk, but that's not going to be a power of sun return on investment, could maybe raise some interest, right?
So, here what we learned so far. We are constantly told, don't do it. Why not aim for growth? Why not scale? Why not raise funds and go big? For investors, institutions, even mentors. That's the standard reaction. Why? Because anything outside the usual playbook is seen as a mistake. In reality, the current funding system only accepts one kind of innovation: technical, scalable, and designed for large financial returns. If your model doesn't fit that, it's immediately rejected. There's no discussion, no feedback, just a polite no the moment you describe your structure. And yet, funding innovation should mean exploring new ways to doing things, not just new technology. And where your innovation is economic or structural, we are simply not allowed in. We don't qualify for private investment, not for public support. That's our key finding. Trying to build differently is precisely what disqualifies you from the very system designed to support innovation.
So then, how are we going the more standard path? Switching our structure company and not being a cooperative anymore and just going the startup way. Well, the problem is that, yes, we will still be making an open source product, but maybe there is a big chance that we will drift away from being an open source first company. And I think a lot of you know some example from the back of your mind. Recently, there was a debacle of the Redis license switch and switchback. Well, there are a lot of examples of companies that try to balance their investors that want them to scale and the open source values that gave them the product in the first place. We're not saying it's a bad model. We're just saying that we want to do it differently, and there should be a way to do it differently.
Despite all that, we believe it's still worth defending a flows-first approach. Because today, free and open source software is not longer a niche or ideological choice. It's a strategic concern for government, for infrastructure, for society, and at large. Open source is essential for digital sovereignty, keeping control over critical systems, cybersecurity, ensuring auditability and transparency, long-term resilience, reducing dependency on closed platforms. Ironically, the more strategic open source becomes, the more fragile its economic foundation appear.
But still, there are no reliable funding model for long-term support and development of open source products. There is a reliance on a mix of grant, of side business and invisible labor, which are risky, fragmented, and hard to scale. And also, it does not answer the need to support early exploratory projects. So, if we truly recognize flows as infrastructure, we have to start treating it this way and ask what kind of ecosystem can actually support in the long run. If you want to find an economic model that works for open source, then we have to explore different ways of doing this. At BIRU, we choose one of these ways to experiment with a structure that keep cost low, is built on strong personal commitment, and provide independent, value-driven governments. We want to earn money, but not at any cost, and not through artificial growth. Our main ambition is to see if it's possible to create a viable model as an alternative that could work for certain type of project and people. That, for us, will already be a real success. And we want to document this journey so that others can learn from it, whenever we success or not. We believe their value is simply trying things differently and in sharing openly what works and what doesn't. Because if we want better model for open source, we have to start testing them, document them, and talking them. So yes, don't do it, but we're doing it anyway. Thank you.